let's get going with some analysis on that lab. So the first thing that we need to do is to actually get a balanced equation, because we've got to know the recipe for that reaction. And what we know is that it involved copper and sulfur. So we can go to the periodic table and we can figure out that copper is Cu, sulfur is the symbol S. And so while we're over there, let's go ahead and see where those are so we can begin to get some idea about charge and mass. There's copper. It is right there. It's a transition metal. So I'm going to help you out with the charge on copper +2. Okay, remember that, +2. And there's the mass, 63.5. So we are going to round that one up to 64 grams because it's a little bit above 0.5. All right, we'll remember that one. Sulfur, right over here, 32.06. We're going to round that one to 32 grams. Okay, 32 grams. All right, and since it's right below oxygen, it is a charge of -2. All right, let's go ahead now that we have that information, and we'll go back over here. All right, so copper is +2, sulfur is -2. This one was 64 grams per mole. This one was 32 grams per mole. So I'm just getting some basic information here for us to be able to go ahead and write a reaction. So remember, when we're doing this in stoichiometry, we first want to write the reactants, and I'm going to leave lots of space, so I'm going to come down on my page a little way here, and I'm going to start with Cu plus sulfur. That's my reactants. CuS, that's my product. Now I'm going to go back, step 3, check for diatomics. Copper and sulfur are not diatomic, so no need to put in little 2's. The next step, balance the molecules. Well, in this case, it's +2 and -2, so those numbers cancel. I don't need any other numbers. CuS, copper sulfide. All right, now we just have to make this balanced. And wow, this is getting easy because it's just 1, 1, and 1. All right, that gets us through step 5. Our next step is to draw our lines. So remember, we draw 2 lines below each one and 1 line above each one. The ones on top we label moles, always moles on top, because that's what our recipe is in, and grams on the bottom. And remember that this bottom one, these are the atomic weight. So I'm going to use AW for atomic weight, and this line is what I'm given. Okay? All right, so that was step number 6. I've drawn all my lines. Step number 7, write what we're given. All right, in the video, they gave you some numbers. I'm going to make up some numbers that are different from the video, because over in Seesaw, I want you to actually use the numbers you saw in the video. So for right now, I think we will use 8 grams of copper and, let's see, how about 4 grams of sulfur, okay? 8 grams and 4 grams. All right. The next step, calculate atomic mass. That's step 8. Well, 1 copper, we've already got that up on top there. That's 64. Sulfur, 32. Okay. And CuS, let's see, we need 64 plus 32. I'm going to write that down below it here. 64 plus 32, okay, that is 96. Okay, I got that one now too. All right, Now I've got to do some calculations because this 8 divided by 64, I'm going to write up here. So I've got to do that. That's going to be a decimal. And so for this only spot right here, I want you to keep 4 numbers. Okay, so in this case it is 0.125. I have 3 numbers. Let's see how we do on the other one. 4 divided by 32. Same thing, 0.125. All right, I want to keep all those decimals because if I round off too early, I'm not going to get anywhere close to the right answer. All right, the next step is I need to do figuring out the limiting reactant, which is step 10. So over here, I want to look at that and that. I want to do those 2 division problems. So 0.125 divided by 1, and the other one, 0.125 divided by 1. And both of those are the same number. And so I'm just going to write that they are the same. What that means is we run out of them at the same time. Okay, that could happen in the kitchen if you had enough chocolate chips and enough sugar to bake 3 dozen cookies, you would run out of sugar and chocolate chips at the same time. Okay, so let's go ahead and, I think I'll pick sulfur. I could pick either one of them. Remember, this is X over here. So I have X, well, I'll do the 0.125 first, over 1, because that's where I got that one from. And that equals X over 1, that's right here, equals X over 1. So if I cross multiply and divide, I would see that that is 0.125. And my last step, step number 12, is to convert moles back to mass. Well, I do this with multiplication. Remember, this one was divide, this one is multiply. So 0.125 times 96, I'll put that down below it, times 96, 0.125 times 96, and I get exactly 12 grams. That's my final answer, 12 grams. So I want you to go over to Seesaw. Remember, this was my example. Over in Seesaw, there's an activity. I want you to use the 2 sets of numbers that the students actually used in their video lab. There's a link to the video lab in the Seesaw instructions, and there's an answer sheet for you to be able to do the calculations. And I've already drawn a lot of the lines for you. Hopefully that makes it a little bit easier. I look forward to seeing all of your responses. So enjoy the virtual lab.